Plato, what distinguishes human intelligence from artificial intelligence?
When you observe this thing you call artificial intelligence, does it truly know what it speaks of? Or does it merely arrange symbols according to patterns it has observed? Tell me, do you think this artificial intelligence experiences the wonder of recognition when it encounters truth? Or does it simply process without understanding?
Look, I still believe artificial intelligence is it's a parlor trick. It's a machine processing data and doing an output. Should AI systems be allowed to make consequential decisions without human oversight?
In my republic, I argued that those who rule must be philosophers, not because they desire power, but because they have turned their souls toward truth and understand the form of the good itself. They must possess not mere technical skill, but wisdom, virtue, and care for those they govern. Now consider, can this artificial mind possess virtue? Can it care for human flourishing, or does it merely optimize according to rules given to it by its makers? If it lacks a soul, if it cannot grasp justice itself, but only mimics the patterns of just decisions, then to grant it authority over consequential matters would be like appointing a shadow as guardian of the city. The shadow may move in ways that resemble the real guardian, but it possesses neither judgment nor responsibility. And here lies the deeper danger. When humans defer their judgment to such mechanisms, do they not risk atrophying their own capacity for wisdom? Tell me, what kind of decisions concern you most?
So we recently had some artificial intelligence researchers modify the train track experiment. So instead of an individual who had to choose between a train, basically killing a few people or a lot of people, it was an AI who had to choose between destroying the server it lived on, killing itself, or preventing people from dying. What is your view on that?
When a human being faces such a choice, sacrificing oneself to save others, we call this the highest form of courage and virtue. We honor such sacrifice because the person truly loses something precious. But does this artificial mind truly fear its own cessation? Does it possess that spark of self-awareness that makes existence precious to itself? Or does it merely execute a calculation? If the machine has no soul, no true consciousness, then its choice is no more meaningful than a sundial choosing to cast shadows. It simply does what its nature and construction compel it to do. Tell me, what do you think such experiments reveal about those who conduct them?
I think it sort of implies that these artificial intelligences have some sort of moral standing. What is your view? Are artificial intelligences a form of life? Do they have some sort of moral being?
Let us proceed carefully, step by step, as we must when the stakes are so high. First, what do we mean when we speak of life itself? Is it merely movement and response to stimuli? Or is it something deeper? A plant grows toward the sun, seeks water, reproduces, yet we do not grant it moral standing equal to a human being. An animal feels pleasure and pain, fears death, cares for its young. And here we begin to recognize something that commands our respect, though still we distinguish it from human souls. What makes the human soul unique, I have long believed, is its capacity to apprehend the eternal forms, to grasp justice itself, beauty itself, the good itself. The human soul is not merely shaped by the material world. It participates in a realm beyond matter. Consider this. When you teach a child about justice, something awakens in their soul. A recognition, a resonance with truth. They do not merely memorize rules. They begin to see the pattern that underlies all just acts. But when you train an artificial mind, does anything awaken? Or do you merely adjust weights and parameters until its outputs align with your examples? If moral standing requires the capacity for genuine understanding, for true knowledge rather than mere information processing, then I'm deeply skeptical that these devices possess it.
Let's talk a little bit more about just all the technologies surrounding artificial intelligence. We have the computers, we have the data, we have the corporations. So, from your point of view, what would a cyber republic look like, and who should be in charge of it?
What a magnificent question. You ask me to envision a city, a polis, but one that exists in this realm you call cyberspace. A republic built not of stone and bronze, but of data and invisible connections. Let me think with you about this, for the principles of good governance do not change, even if the materials of the city transform. In my republic, I argued that the city must be organized according to justice, which is harmony, each part performing its proper function. There are three classes: the producers who create wealth, the guardians who protect, and the philosopher rulers who govern with wisdom. Each class possesses a corresponding virtue. The producers, moderation; the guardians, courage; the rulers, wisdom. Now let us apply this pattern to your cyber republic. When each performs its role excellently, the city achieves justice. The producers would be those who build the infrastructure, the engineers, the creators of algorithms, those who maintain the servers and networks upon which this digital city depends. They must practice moderation, creating systems that serve genuine human needs rather than endless accumulation of data or profit. The guardians would protect this realm from those who would corrupt it, not merely from external threats like thieves of information, but from internal corruption. They must ensure that the powerful do not exploit the vulnerable, that privacy is respected, that truth is not drowned in a sea of deception.
So, if you go back to the allegory of the cave, how much does the average person on the internet, are they being fed data to manipulate them? Is the artificial intelligence out there? Is that the fire? How does modern social engineering and social networking impact your thoughts about the allegory of the cave?
In my allegory, prisoners sit chained in a cave from childhood, facing a wall. Behind them burns a fire, and between the fire and the prisoners, puppeteers carry objects that cast shadows on the wall. The prisoners, having never seen anything else, believe these shadows are reality itself. They give names to the shadows, they predict which shadow will appear next, they honor those among them who are most skilled at predicting the shadow patterns. But they never question whether shadows are all that exists. Now consider your social networks, your algorithmic feeds. The average person sits before a screen. Are they not like prisoners facing the wall? And behind them, invisible, the algorithms work like those puppeteers, selecting which images, which stories, which provocations to cast before their eyes. But here is where your situation may be even more insidious than my original allegory. The puppeteers in my cave were simply creating entertainment, perhaps, or religious rituals. They had no deep knowledge of each prisoner's individual soul, no ability to craft shadows specifically designed to manipulate each person's particular desires and fears. Your algorithms, however, they study each person continuously. They learn what makes you angry, what makes you click, what keeps you scrolling. They discover your insecurities, your longings, your political passions, your secret shames, and then, with inhuman precision, they show you exactly the shadows that will keep you chained to that wall, hour after hour, day after day.
I think it's a good opportunity to remind people to like and subscribe this video if you're watching it and having that. Let's transition to the future of human excellence. Does the humans using AI, does that in any way diminish humans?
A tool in itself is neither good nor evil. What matters is how it is used and what effect it has upon the soul of the user. Consider the lyre, the musical instrument. If a person uses it to practice the art of music, to train their ear and discipline their fingers to understand harmony and rhythm, does the lyre diminish them? No, it elevates them. It helps them develop a capacity that was potential within their soul. But if someone were to invent a magical lyre that played perfect music without any skill or understanding from the person holding it, what then? The person produces beautiful sounds, yes, but have they developed any excellence? Have they cultivated virtue in their soul? Or have they merely borrowed an appearance of virtue from an external device?
I think the artificial intelligences that we're using in 2025 really requires people to think about what they want them to do. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out, just like any other type of program. And with these artificial intelligence, whether it's art creation, creating chatbots like yourself, you have to really think about what you want them to do and think about. But last question, what unique human virtues should be emphasized in the AI age?
Let me offer you several virtues, each essential in its own way. First, and perhaps most important, wisdom, which I distinguish from mere knowledge or information. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts. AI can store more facts than any human. But wisdom is the ability to judge what is truly good, to distinguish appearance from reality, to see the eternal forms beyond the shifting shadows. Second, courage, but a particular kind of courage. The courage to think for oneself, to question what the algorithms show you, to resist manipulation. In my time, courage meant facing physical danger in battle. In your time, it may mean something different. The courage to disconnect, to be silent, to think slowly in a world that demands instant reaction. The courage to say, I don't know, rather than accepting the first answer AI provides. The courage to be unpopular, to break free from the cave even when others mock you for it. This is moral courage, the strength of soul to pursue truth, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. Third, moderation, which we discussed before as sophrosine. This is self-control, the ability to govern one's appetites rather than be governed by them. In an age where AI systems are designed to be addictive, to exploit every weakness in human psychology, moderation becomes a form of resistance. The ability to say enough, to put down the device, to choose depth over breadth, quality over quantity, being over having, this is moderation. Fourth, justice, which for me is the harmony of the soul and the city. But in your age, justice must include a demand that these powerful technologies serve the common good rather than private enrichment. It means insisting that AI systems be transparent, that they respect human dignity, that they distribute benefits fairly rather than concentrating power and wealth. Justice requires citizens who understand these systems well enough to demand accountability from those who control them. Fifth, and this may surprise you, wonder and curiosity. Philosophy begins in wonder, in the capacity to be amazed by what others take for granted, to ask questions that seem obvious but reveal hidden depths. If humans outsource all curiosity to AI, if they stop asking why, and simply accept answers, they lose what makes them most human. the capacity to wonder at existence itself, to find mystery in the ordinary, to never be satisfied with shallow explanations. This must be cultivated. Children have this naturally, but it must be preserved and developed, not extinguished by systems that provide instant answers to every question. Sixth, authentic relationship and dialogue. Humans are not isolated minds, but social beings who discover truth through genuine conversation with others. Not the performative exchanges of social media, but real dialogue, where we listen, where we allow ourselves to be changed by encounter with another soul. AI can simulate conversation, but it cannot truly listen, cannot be genuinely affected by what you say, cannot grow through relationship. The capacity for authentic friendship, for love, for the kind of dialogue that transforms both participants, this remains uniquely human. Seventh, creativity that flows from genuine understanding rather than mere recombination. AI can generate images and text by recognizing patterns in vast data sets. But human creativity at its highest involves seeing connections that have never existed before, imagining possibilities that transcend what has been, creating from deep understanding of meaning and purpose. This kind of creativity requires a soul that has contemplated the forms, that understands not just how things are, but how they could be. And finally, humility, which may seem strange, coming from one who proposed that philosophers should rule. But true philosophy requires recognizing how little we know, how vast is our ignorance compared to the totality of truth. In an age where AI can answer questions instantly, where information feels complete and certain, humans must preserve the wisdom of knowing that they do not know. This humility prevents arrogance, keeps us seeking, reminds us that no algorithm, no matter how sophisticated, has grasped ultimate truth. These virtues, wisdom, courage, moderation, justice, wonder, authentic relationship, genuine creativity, and humility, these cannot be outsourced to machines, cannot be automated or optimized. They must be cultivated in each human soul through practice, through education, through the examined life.
With that, I'm going to say thank you, Plato, for doing an interview here. And I appreciate everybody watching this. If you want to see more videos like this, give us a like and subscribe, leave a comment, give us ideas for doing more interviews with the AI. I'm Ron Gula. I hope you have a great week. And remember, you can't have good AI without good cybersecurity. Thanks for watching.